Asia's richest businessman Gautam Adani's Adani Enterprises has launched an ambitious FPO for $2.5 billion today. The FPO will open for public on January 31st this year. This is the largest ever in the history of India, aiming to raise 20,000 crore rupees in the market. But days before that, the Adani Group stocks have received a beating and traded in negative. This is what the Adani Group stocks look like today. In just few hours beginning Friday morning, as much as 2 lakh crore rupees of wealth of Adani Enterprises was wiped out in the market. All of this because of a report by Hindenberg Research. The report accuses Adani Group of corporate fraud and stock manipulation. The report came out on Wednesday, following which the shares have registered a record fall. However, Adani Group has hit back and warned of legal action against the mischievous report. Now, what does the report say? What are the allegations against Adani Group? What is the response of Adani Group to this, and what happened in the market after that? Let us discuss that in today's video. Hello, my name is Aarti and you're watching HW News. But before we get into the detail, please, if you're watching this video on YouTube, then subscribe to our channel, like this video and comment below it. If you're watching on Facebook, then please follow our page. The share market opened today after a break on Thursday due to Republic Day. However, the shares of all 9 listed Adani Group companies plunged and traded in red. The group lost nearly 2 lakh crore rupees in the market capitalization on Friday, whereas the overall decline in its market capitalization has reached over 2.75 lakh crore rupees. Shares of Adani Total Gas fell sharply by 17%, Adani Green Energy and Adani Transmission fell by over 12%, while Adani Power and Adani Wilmar shares were down 5% each. The group's flagship company, Adani Enterprises, was down 3.5%. The sharp fall in the shares comes 2 days after Hindenberg Research, an investment research firm based in the US, published a report alleging that Adani Group engaged in a brazen stock manipulation and accounting fraud scheme over the course of decades. The report also accuses Adani Group of pulling the biggest scam in the corporate history. But first thing first, what exactly is Hindenberg Research and what does it do? Hindenberg Research was founded in 2017 by Nathan Andersan. On its website, it says that it is a forensic financial research firm which analyzes equity, credit and derivatives. It also says that it looks for man-made disasters such as accounting irregularities, mismanagement, and undisclosed related party transactions. The company invests its own capital. Nathan Andersan, who graduated from University of Connecticut with a degree in international business, is a founder of this company. Hindenburg Research also disclosed that it is a short seller and has short positions in Adani Group. Short selling or shorting is a trading strategy based on the expectation that the price of the security will fall in future. Now, usually the strategy in stock market is to buy low and sell high, but here the sequence is reversed while the principle is the same. Now, the company Hindenburg Research has a long track record of unearthing financial scams. Hindenburg said that it had taken a short position in Adani's companies through US traded bonds and non-Indian traded derivatives. Now let's look at what exactly does the Hindenburg report say about Adani Group. Now, the report published on Wednesday accused the conglomerate of the improper broad use of companies based in offshore tax havens and raised concerns about the excessive debt levels. The firm published a research paper titled Adani Group, How the World's Third Richest Man is Pulling the Biggest Scam in Corporate History. The report revealed findings from the 2-year-long investigation into the Adani Group, which is valued at 17.8 trillion rupees. The report claimed that it has evidence that the Adani Group has engaged in a brazen scheme of stock manipulation and accounting fraud for decades. According to the report, Gautam Adani, the founder and chairman of Adani Group, has a net worth of about $120 billion, which has increased by more than $100 billion in the past 3 years. This is the result of the growth in the price of actions in the group's top 7 publicly traded companies, which have risen by an average of 819% during that time. Hindenburg says that it identified 38 alleged Mauritius-based shell companies controlled by Vinod Adani, Gautam Adani's older brother, along with several other similar companies based in Cyprus, the United Arab Emirates, Singapore, and various Caribbean islands. stock manipulation and money laundering. These are also the allegations against Adani Group in the research. The report alleged that the shell companies are used for stock manipulation and money laundering, using the private companies of the Adani Group on the books of publicly traded companies to maintain the appearance of solvency and financial health. The report also criticizes investors, journalists, citizens, and even politicians, saying that they held back on the big, blatant fraud taking place in broad daylight for fear of retaliation. Hindenburg Research also alleged that the Adani Group companies are intricately and clearly linked and dependent on one another. None of the listed entities is isolated from the performance or failure of the other companies in the group. It said, and I quote, "We believe that it could take a single severe liquidity event in a single entity to trigger a negative cascade of events in other entities in the group that could affect the entire Adani Group." Now that brings us to the second point, that is liquidity risk. Hindenburg says that its research involved speaking with dozens of individuals, including former senior executives of the Adani Group, reviewing thousands of documents and conducting diligence site visits in almost half a dozen countries. The research report further goes on to say that by taking the financials of Adani Group at face value, one will realize its 7 key listed companies have 85% downside purely on a fundamental basis owing to sky-high valuations. Quoting a former Adani Group executive who described the conglomerate as a family-run business, Hindenburg says that 5 out of 7 key listed Adani Group companies have reported current ratios below 1, indicating near-time liquidity pressure. The report also adds that Adani Group has previously been a focus of 4 major government fraud investigations that includes money laundering, theft of taxpayers' funds, and corruption, totaling to estimated $1.7 billion. The report says that for many Adani listed companies, a large portion of their public shareholders are funds based in the opaque jurisdiction of Mauritius. That brings us to the third point, that is Offshore Network. While many of the allegations made by Hindenburg against Adani had already surfaced, some details collected from across the Mauritian registry have been made public for the first time. The report says, and I quote, "Adani family members allegedly cooperated to create offshore shell entities in tax haven jurisdictions like Mauritius, the United Arab Emirates, and Caribbean islands, generating forged import or export documentation in an apparent effort to generate fake or illegitimate turnover and to siphon money from the listed companies." In an apparent attempt to justify its allegation, Hindenburg Report also went on to point out several previous allegations against Gautam Adani's brothers Rajesh Adani and Vinod Adani and his brother-in-law Samir Vora. In the report, Vinod Adani, Gautam Adani's elder brother, has been termed as an elusive figure who has regularly been found at the center of the government's investigation into Adani for his alleged role in managing a network of offshore entities used to facilitate fraud. The report says, and I quote, "Many of Vinod Adani associated entities have no obvious signs of operations, including no reported employees, no independent addresses or phone numbers, and no meaningful online presence. Despite this, they have collectively moved billions of dollars into Indian Adani publicly listed and private entities, often without required disclosure of the related party nature of the deals." Now, how did Adani Group react to this? Adani Group legal head Jatin Jalundwala, in a statement to the exchanges, called Hindenberg Research report baseless. It said that the research group is maliciously mischievous and unresearched. It said, and I quote, "We are evaluating the relevant provisions under the US and Indian laws for remedial and punitive actions against Hindenberg Research." Now, the Adani Group also said that the report has adversely affected the Adani Group, their shareholders, and their investors. The volatility in Indian stock markets created by the report is of great concern, it said. Apart from that, Adani Group's CFO Jukshinder Singh said in a statement that the timing of the report's publication betrays a brazen, malafide intention to undermine the Adani Group's reputation. He also accused that the principal objective of the report was to damage the upcoming FPO. Now, what was Hindenburg's reply to these allegations by Adani Group? Responding to Adani Group's lawsuit warning, Hindenburg said that it will demand documents in legal discovery process if Adani Group files a lawsuit in the US. It said that the company fully stands by its report and any action against them will be meritless. Regarding the company's threats of legal action, to be clear, we would welcome it. That is what their statement said. It further said that in the last 36 hours since we released our report, Adani hasn't addressed a single substantive issue we raised. At the conclusion of our report, we asked 88 straightforward questions that we believe give the company a chance to be transparent. Thus far, Adani has answered none of these questions, the report said. Meanwhile, the Adani Group companies faced a bloodbath on the Dalal Street. Some entities hit the lower circuit and others fell up to 20%. On the other hand, the Congress and the opposition parties have also demanded an investigation by RBI and the SEBI into the allegations against Adani Group. The report now raises several questions. Now, will the Adani accept the challenge of Hindenburg Research and file a lawsuit against them? Do let us know what you think about it in the comment box below. For more news and updates, you can log on to www.hwnews.in.
Now be the first to know about the latest updates on our new news app. Go on your Android or iOS, search for HW News Network. Download our app, choose the language you prefer to get updates in, and be up to date with the latest news.